little sporty getting off the beach. Like if I'm going into the wind today, I'm going to be taking waves into the cockpit. Yeah. Getting the idea that a day like today is kind of pushing it for the Pungo here, just because every time one of these waves breaks over, you're getting a good splash into the cockpit here. Hadn't been terrible so far, but I can see where, you know, if you're trying to go upwind a few miles, and you know, you're just going to keep getting heavier the more water you get. I can see that where that would be a bad thing. But they do sell skirts, spray skirts for these, so I think that would be the fix for that. Would be to get a spray skirt. And they also make kind of half spray skirts, that's what I had been thinking about getting. They're cheaper, you know, I don't know, they're probably like half the price. And it looks like they just come forward up to about your knees or something, but they do have a little, just like a little plastic stiffener piece to give it a little bow shape on top. And so hopefully that would disperse the water once it got off to that, and just shed it off to the sides instead of getting it in the cockpit. But I will say, you know, I got a kind of a left crosswind, quartering headwind, and being in the 140, it's tracking really straight. So that's a good sign. And even with this wind, I mean, I feel like I'm moving pretty good. I definitely don't feel like I'm paddling a barge, you know, where you're just, you feel like you're working hard and barely moving. I'm just doing my normal effort of paddling, you know, that I would on a calm day, and I'm still moving. I'm still over 3 miles an hour. And luckily the water has started to warm up a bit, so I'm not freezing right now. That's good. Yeah, it's just tracking along straight, right where I'm pointed. today might give me a good chance to see those front and rear hatches, see how dry they are. The bulkheads in this 140, they actually look like they're sealed really well. I'm not sure if that came like that or if the previous owner maybe resealed it. But you can just tell by looking, it looks like it's got a good seal there. Whereas my 120, it looks pretty good, but it looks like it's starting to, you know, just wear out or whatever. There's kind of some thin spots and some broken spots in that whole seal around the bulkhead. And it does, you know, I don't get a lot of water in there, but there have been times where I get a little bit of water build up in the cockpit. That I'll look in the rear hatch and I'll have water in there as well that I suspect is leaking a little bit through that bulkhead. So anyway, a day like this is a good test because I think I'm going to have some standing water here in the back of the cockpit up against that rear bulkhead. See how well that works. Kind of day it'd be fun to get a little wind and then try to surf these little wind waves a little bit coming back downwind. That's always fun. But a little bit tired today. See if I have the energy for that later. So I feel like I'm probably working a little harder than normal right now, just fighting that wind and the waves. I'm still doing close to 3.5 miles an hour, which is good. It's tracking perfectly straight. And another thing to mention is these Pungos are so stable. This is a good example right here. I don't, you know, I'm sure on the GoPro, but a couple of these little swells are, you know, decent size, coming right off the beam like that. You know, and some of those skinnier kayaks that can feel a little tippy, but it just doesn't even, you don't even notice it in here. Woo, even like that. Right off the beam, a big wave like that dumps all that water in here. You know, you don't even think about the stability, it's just so solid. So I'll just keep cruising up this shoreline and then I'll probably stop and try to bail out or sponge out some of this water before I turn around to go back. It's got to be over 15. I mean, this feels like it's close to 20 miles an hour maybe, which I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Whew. I thought about going to one of these areas that's kind of protected from the wind, but I figured this would be a good chance to test it out. since I've only been out a couple times on this 140. See how it does. Tracking is really great, just as I've trying to turn in my nose a bit to paddle around these docks and stuff, but even at these different angles of the wind, it just keeps tracking straight. Yeah, I can feel on my seat now. I'm starting to sit in a puddle of water. So conditions like this in the Pungos, I'm probably going to stay fairly close to shore. I know in theory you have the ability to kind of do a wet re-entry in here since you got the two bulkheads, but I haven't tested that out yet. And I'm thinking even so, there's so much like volume, it's such a big cockpit, and I got all that room behind me. It's gonna be, you could get a lot of water in there that's gonna take you a long time to pump out, even with the bilge pump. So that wouldn't be fun, even if you were able to get back in open water. So I'd take one of my sit-on-tops if I was doing, you know, crossing the bay a couple miles or something like that in weather like this. Or just get a Pro sea kayak, which I'm planning for in the future if I can save some money. Yeah, so if I keep going, I'll see how far I go up here. There's a few of these areas where I think it gets shallower or whatever, because it just seems like the waves tend to build up a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see how much water I get in here. Still keeping above 3, close to 3.5 miles an hour. So I'm happy with that. So you got the small little inlet right here. This is a grass lake. You just got, you know, like a dozen houses on either side, and then it just dead ends there in the back. But that's always a good place to sneak in there, get out of the wind a little bit, take a break from paddling if I do get too tired. I guess I can start coming a little closer to shore. Got an osprey over here, I can hear it crying. I'd like to figure out, I do have my little Garmin GPS that I like to bring with me. Be nice, I don't know, maybe if I could find a way to just kind of mount it right there at the front of the cockpit. I gotta figure out a way where it's standing up to where I can read it. Get it mounted somewhere outside the paddle stroke. So, yeah, have to be kind of right in the center up front. Keep it out of the way. Some more water. So I've done 1 mile. So just over a mile, and I can already feel my neck getting a little bit sore just from doing a little more aggressive paddling, so I'm working a little harder than normal. Fine going. day to bring the Hobie Adventure Island out here and do some sailing. You can definitely have some fun in wind like this. Right now, it does feel like the wind might have calmed down a couple miles an hour. Seems like it's not quite as bad. Oh, yeah, there's a loud hole. So I'm starting to have water kind of all the way through the cockpit now. So let me see. Whew, I need to be careful reaching back. help a little. Actually, I'm just gonna throw that right behind me since I'll probably be grabbing that again. So that definitely got some water out. That's good. Kind of slowed down a little bit right here. Give myself a bit of a rest. And this is about 3 miles an hour. So if I go from kind of that moderate level of effort, around 3.5 miles an hour, to just kind of this easy, relaxed cruising, that's about 3 miles an hour. I'll turn the camera off for a bit. Save a little bit of battery for the way back. There's a pelican. This little section must be where all the Patriots live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like that. 5 houses in a row with these nice American flags waving. It caught my eye that this dock has got a couple kayaks out here, and one of them looks like it has the same paint job as this guy. And looking at the back of that hole, it looks just like a Pungo stern. Let's see. Oh, look at that, twinsies. Oh yeah, it's starting to hurt my neck now when I gotta make these draw strokes and turn back around. Well, that's cool. 2 Pungo 120s, a red one and the same mango. And they're from the same store. I can see the sticker, Kayak Experience. That's the same sticker I got on the back on this one. So for any people from this area in Florida around Destin, Pensacola, Panama City that's been into kayaking for more than a few years, you might remember Kayak Experience. It was a lady named Marlise ran that kayak shop down on the Destin Harbor. That's where I bought my first kayak, first got into it. And they used to have demo days. I forget, you know, during the summer months, it was like every Saturday, Thursday, whatever it was, you know, they'd bring all the kayaks out to the docks behind the shop. It was just a really nice shop. They were super helpful over there. But anyway, unfortunately, she had to go out of business. I don't know if it's been 5 years or close to that now. Can't remember. I think it was before COVID. But anyway, she's got those stickers she puts on all the kayaks that were sold through the shop there. And even now, 5 years later or whatever it is, I still see a lot of kayaks. Like if you're looking at used ones, you'll see a lot of them, especially Wilderness Systems, Eddy Line. You know, some of those tend not to have the stickers, I think, just because the higher end ones that want to put a sticker on. But and I think Ocean Kayaks, but it seems, I guess, mainly the Wilderness Systems. I think that was their main boat brand they dealt with. Unfortunately, when that shop went out of business, yeah, that was right. Well, it's been a while now, but you know, the kayak fishing became the big, popular, you know, sector for kayaking down here in Florida. So now most of the kayak shops are, you know, it's these tackle shops that have been there a long time, and you know, they get into the kayaks because they're selling the fishing kayaks. But I've noticed most of those shops, you know, it's guys that have been, you know, anglers and fishermen their whole lives, but a lot of them don't necessarily have a whole lot of experience with kayaking, and especially paddling. versus like, you know, pedaling through some of these Hobies or old towns. So kind of the closest shop now for where I'm at. I gotta go like an hour and 20 minutes to Sunjammers and St. Andrews over there by Panama City. There's Brad, the guy that runs that shop. He's been in business for a long time, and you know, they're kind of a paddle sports place. More than just the, you know, solely kayak fishing part. And then everything kayak over in Gulfport or Biloxi, whatever it is, Mississippi. That's a few hours. It's like a little over 3 hours or something, but every few years I still make a trip over there because they have a really good store, really good selection. A couple guys over there I have a lot of good experience with, again, with kayaks in general. And I guess there is a Fairhope Boat Company. They're a smaller shop, a couple hours away, and they seem pretty good. I've stopped by there a couple times. But yeah, I do miss having a nice kayak shop right here in, you know, in the hometown. This looks like Blue Water Bay has a little regatta or whatever. All these sailboats out here going on. And if the winds felt like they were dying down a little while back, I feel like they're a little bit stronger again right here. But for the most part, I haven't been getting those waves coming over into the boat as much. So I hadn't had to pump the cockpit out again yet. So, don't have a whole lot of time before sunset. The plan is to just come up. I'll just come past this last building up here, these little apartments or condos, whatever it is, and then I'll turn around. And hopefully on the way back, should be a little bit easier going. Should be more of a quartering tailwind, I'm hoping. Oh man, stopped just in time. I did not see that old reef right there. Whew. That would have put some scratches in the boat. Yeah, pumped the brakes just in time. I think I'm good right here. That's funny, I had just taken off my sunglasses, my polarized glasses, right before I was gonna cruise over the top of those little oyster beds an inch below. Uh-oh. Oh, got more right here. Sneak in this little gap right here. There we go. Oh man, got all sandy. Oh yeah, a little bit of water back here. Let's see if I can sponge out the rest right here. All right, got a dry cockpit again. So unfortunately I don't have more than a few minutes to take a break if I want to get back before dark. This would be a great place to watch all the sailboats cruising through here. Alright, well, I enjoyed my 5 or 10 minutes here. Probably took longer than I should have. Nice picture here before I take off. Go. And I always start my tracking back up. Resume. And resume. Yeah. Oh, I wish I could stay here longer. It's kind of warm in the sun. He flew away now. There was an osprey hanging out at the tops of a couple of these pine trees flying around. Oh yeah, he's out here now. I think that's him. I'm watching all the sailboats cruising around. Yeah, it'd be a good little hangout. And it looks like, I'm guessing people camp out here because it looks like they got a little fire pit. They got some kind of little A-frame structure here. So you're right kind of in front of the marina here, so I don't know if people would say anything or not if you tried to, oh, there's a big pelican, if you try to camp right in here or not. I don't know. But, oh, I've got to get back. I've got to get going. Now, let me see. Hopefully this will help me. Oh yeah, see, I got to get out here without grounding out on these oyster shells. Yeah, nice and easy to get into these, even when you're out in, you know, knee-deep water. So that helps. All right. So, get out of there. Yep, definitely put some scratches on. That's what I was trying to avoid. I got distracted. I heard this bird, so I was looking for the bird right as I drowned it out on all those rocks right there. Oops. But that's why I have a plastic kayak, so you can do that. That's one of the things that make me a little bit nervous about getting a like a fiberglass or one of these thermoform plastic kayaks. I don't know how they would handle stuff like that, just inadvertently running over those little rocks or oyster shells, whatever it is. All right, well, this is what I was hoping for on the way back. It's always a lot nicer going downwind. You don't feel the breeze on you. You're not getting the splash, so you're a lot warmer. Even on these days that aren't really cold, you know, if you're not wearing any kind of jacket or whatever, splash gear, it'll get cold surprisingly quick, and you got the wind on you and you're just getting that constant splash. So heading downwind where you're going with the wind and you're not getting all that water splashed on you. It's a lot more comfortable. And I got a better speed, so hopefully I can get back in time. Whew, I didn't even see that duck. Where'd he come from? That's cool. And I did take that little 5-10 minute break, so my neck was starting to hurt a little bit, but usually after I take a bit of a break and stretch for a minute, hopefully that'll have me good to go for a little bit. Yeah, and it's nice having a dry cockpit. Not sloshing around in my seat, listening to all that water bang around in there. See if I can get a photo real quick. All those sailboats out there. You know, I need to remember, I want to look into getting one of those little downwind sails. Just one of those little pop-up sails you can get for this kind of universal kayak fit. Because there have been quite a few days where, you know, I take off and I'll just go for, you know, 5 miles or something into the wind. And it'd be pretty cool to just pop up a cheap little sail or something in front and just have that extra boost going back those 5 miles. So if I can find one of those for a good deal, that might be worth it. was making pretty good time back here to this grass lake, and not far from the beach to get back. Let's see. We've been, swells picked up a little bit, but they were kind of coming from the beam, but they weren't tall enough to break over the side, so I still have a dry cockpit. But anyway, I'm gonna spend a minute, see. There we go. That was fun. So I wasn't able to kind of surf that. Oh, there's waves over the side. Yeah, I wasn't able to really surf as well as I was hoping, but I got one or two little waves I rode for a second. I think I saw up to 7 miles an hour on the GPS there. So that's still fun. Woo! I was saying earlier about how most of the way back it's been really dry in here. The waves weren't coming over the side, not much wind, nice and sunny, but now I feel like the wind picked back up again. I'm starting to get all the splash back in my face, and with the sun starting to go down, it's starting to feel a little bit cooler. Oh, there we go. the Legendary Marine on the south side of the Mid Bay Bridge. I doubt it shows up on the video, but they got their big American flag flying again on their flagpole. It had been, I think it's been a couple or a few months that they've had it down, so it's nice to see they got the flag back up. It's a few miles away. It's probably 4 miles from me right now, but it's big enough it always shows up, so it's always, when I come out here to sail and kayak, I always use that as my little wind indicator. But glad to see it's back flying. Just turned like this right now. This would have been a little more miserable on the way back if it had been like this the whole way. You know what? I never did. Let me see if I can look real quick. Of course, my phone's all wet. My fingers. I can see what the wind's doing. This is usually that by trust. So, it's just showing 12, gusting 22. That's probably about right. Weather channel is showing 7. Yeah, I thought 12 sounded a bit low, but if it's gusting 22, that's probably, I believe that. Ooh, that would have got me wet. I've noticed actually on the way back a touch more of it wanting to kind of weathercock into the wind, but not enough to really be bothered by it. Still tracking good. In the face. In the cockpit. Feels like 20 miles an hour when the wind's blowing like this. Whew. And decent swells right here. floating in the salt water like that. Time-wise, worked out perfect. Looks like I got 5 or 10 minutes till sunset. And I got about 5 minutes to get back to the beach. Yeah, it looks like 7 minutes, I think. I point into the wind here. So I'm just kind of holding myself here, going nice and slow. Kind of riding over these waves for the most part. Let's see if I start paddling a little harder. So a little better than I expected. I thought once I picked the speed up, headed into the wind, I'd be taking on more water over the bow. Not horrible. I think I haven't had the ones pointing out to me this bad yet. I do feel like the extra length of the 14 is helping the nose from burrowing into these waves as much. Oh yeah, this is about as far out as I feel like being right now. It's getting sporty. My sunglasses right now. Secure those sunglasses just in case anything happens. I've lost too many pairs of nice sunglasses. I don't want to do that again. Yeah, good kiteboarding weather for that guy over there. There's a good swell. Alright, turn myself. Alright, I'm pointed downwind, pointed at the beach. wanted to come around on me on that one. There we go. Whew.